very good speaker. So please just be ready to just be wowed and be ready to take something home with you. You can bring your wives if you want to. You can bring your sons, your daughters. Let them watch with you. I mean, let them see what you see. You know, this is not a secret society. We are not a cult. We love to share. So just a few things first. For tonight, please refrain from using the raise hand, but you must type your comments and/or questions on the Q&A tab. You will not be able to speak on the microphone. The CPD certificates will be loaded onto the SADA platform, and you will be able to access all your certificates under your membership profile. If you are not a SADA member, you will be able to create a profile for yourself and access your CPD certificates again on the SADA website. Please just remember that we have created a beautiful platform for everyone, in that if you are ever audited and you're a SADA member, you go to your profile and you click on your HPCSA audit report and you put the dates that you wish for. Voila, you will get a report that has already been done for you. It's automatic at a click of a button. It's got all the stuff that the HPCSA requires, and you can just email that to the HPCSA. It's as simple as that. So that's one benefit of being at SADA. Tonight's event qualifies for one clinical CEU. We have done so many ethical CEUs this year. So I believe and I hope that there will be no single person who's a member of SADA or a member of the profession that will not have enough quota for their CPD this year, because we have done so many CPD events. We are streaming live on YouTube, so you can tell your family to also watch on YouTube, just in case you have difficulty in coming to the Zoom platform, or if you want to extend this meeting to other people. So yeah, this is basically where we are. And just to remind everyone that you need to complete the evaluation after the webinar did not run. There will be an evaluation which you can complete. There will be a link which you can take. Other than that, I want to announce the following events. We are winding our year, so very soon we're going to be finishing. But the next few events are the YDC Practice Management Evening with Dr. Tembeka Buleni. It's on the 19th of November. If you have seen Dr. Buleni, she's an amazing, amazing woman, and I think you can learn stuff there. So please come, particularly young guys, the young dentists, come and hear what she has learned and what she has put in her practice. On the 24th of November, another YDC evening for final year dental student, first to third year qualified dentists. That is going to be with Dr. Jan van Lierop, PPS and dental protection. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful evening. Dr. van Lierop has got a way of reaching out to young dentists and upcoming dentists. So you're going to learn a lot. Please make sure, tell your friend, bring them up. Even if 7 of you have to watch through one device, do that. But just make sure you are there. On the 26th of November, Henry Shrine evening. The title is Indications and Execution of Digital Imaging and Case Discussion. For those of you that wish to learn more about digital space and application in dentistry, come and learn. 30th of November to 3 December, Stronger Together lecture program. We will announce the details of this, but that's possibly going to be the period where we are about to close the year. I'm so excited about the few CPD events that are left. So yeah, this is the evening. I want everyone to relax and just be there, take it in and just enjoy. I'm going to leave a bit, and I've explained myself. Unfortunately, I've been double booked, so I'm running 2 meetings. I'm going to leave and come back in the background, but I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Dr. Jan van Lierop, and he will take you through everything. Dr. Jan van Lierop, thank you so much. And David, thank you so much. Please take over from here, Dr. Jan van Lierop. Thank you.
Thank you, Casey. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce whom I'd like to call a friend, and Mr. David Grier. I think, David, it's been about 6 years since we met the first time. We did some crazy events together, which I deemed crazy. And it was exciting to be able to spend all that time with you and learn from you. What struck me the first time I met Dave was his absolute passion, his enthusiasm, and his absolute belief that anything is possible. I believe that there are two types of people in the world: those that look at a wall and they kind of try and figure out how they're going to get over it. And then there are those that kind of look back at the wall that's got a big hole in it and they try and figure out how did they actually get through it. And David is definitely one of those who always, he's got his heads down and he never overthinks things. He basically is a solutions-driven person, and he loves to commit and to get to the end goal. Just to give you an example, I'm going to read a couple of the stuff that David's been up to. Coming from a farming community, wine farm community, lovely wine farms in the Western Cape, he's come through being a chef, a very well-known chef, and I've had the privilege of having dinner with him. And then moving into the adventure racing scene and moving into adventure events, where he started doing crazy things that no human ever thought was possible. Starting with the Great Wall of China, where they ran 4,200 kilometers in 93 days. He's run the entire coastline of South Africa, which is 3,300 kilometers in 80 days. Crazy enough to paddle across from Africa to Madagascar, which is another 500 kilometers in 12 days, only to further run Madagascar from the north to the south in 2,700 kilometers. So it just kind of gives you an idea of how crazy he is and the things that he gets up to. But not only does he do these things, he always does it for a good cause and always has a massive heart. And he's probably one of the most compassionate people that I know, that truly believes that everybody can make a difference. He's trustee of the Cipla Foundation and the Give All Foundation, and as well as being an ambassador for both raising funds through his adventures for Operation Smile South Africa, which is basically geared towards raising funds to help children receive corrective surgery for specifically cleft lips and palates. David's also been appointed as an ambassador for 54 as One, a foundation assisting with improving of access to medical services and equipment, as well as upgrading medical infrastructure in South Africa. So he's an incredible person, and it's amazing to have the mix of adventure and pure determination and this compassion, and to see how he's able to use all his activities and see how he's able to use his energy to always think about how you can serve and how you can improve the lives of those around you. So David, it's an honor and a privilege to be your friend and to be able to introduce you to a lot of my colleagues that are now logged in to listen to your story. I'm sure they're going to love it. They're going to be amazed at what you've been up to. And yeah, please enjoy yourself, guys. Enjoy listening to David. And the big thing is take away that heartfelt message that is always there in every conversation that he has. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, John. I appreciate the intro. And to all the SADA members, it's great to have the privilege to share a journey again. I know in the past I've shared at a few conferences, and not only have I shared, but you guys have shared back with us and donated quite a bit of funding in assisting children globally. So, thanks, and it's a privilege to share. I'm just going to get into my presentation here and kick it off. I've had a lot of time, as most of us have over the last, let's say, couple of months, to think and introflect and look back at life. 2 years ago, or just over 2 years ago, I returned to China, and believe it or not, to run the wall again in the other direction. And on this journey, so much was thrown at me, and I had to challenge myself in so many different ways that I never ever thought I would be able to, or I would need to, because, once you've done something, you think, oh, it's easy, I'll just do it again. But it's not. Everything is constantly changing, and it's different. And I titled a book that I wrote on that, and I called it Back to the Wall. And I think if a lot of us look at ourselves, I think it resonates with us. We're sitting here with our back to the wall, and we might be throwing up our hands in despair and not knowing where to go. But I think what speaks to it is that little caption on the cover written there on the wall is, the journey continues. Whatever you face in life, whatever we have to face in life, you can't give up on it. The journey has to continue, and you have to find a way and a solution in order to move forward. So welcome to my journey back to the wall. You know, deep inside every one of us, there's this nurturing, burning, smoldering little coal within that is waiting to be ignited in all of us. And I believe that is that incredible gift we have as a human being, the ability that we have to change and evolve as we go through life and as we go through different situations in life. And you know, these smoldering coals, we've got to realize that in our lives, we have to change. And as I said, we've got the ability to change. And as an individual, you have to be able to see the rewards that all of this is going to bring to you. Because if you can put all of that together, it just leaves a highway of opportunity as you trundle on through your lives. And so often I've been asked, you know, what the hell are you running from? You know, where are you going? Why are you doing this? And going through these photographs, I think this one summed it all up. You wake up early in the morning and the sun's on your back, and you're trundling down this road and you're dragging the shadow behind you. I've always looked at that shadow, you know, in the initial parts of our lives, we just try to run from change. We think, oh, I don't have to change. I don't know, I can just carry on the way I am. You know, you just trundle on, but the shadow never, ever leaves you. That change is following you. And then you get to sort of the midday portion of your life when the sun's directly overhead and it shines down on you and there's no shadow. And we all get to that stage and we think we've overcome it. You know, we've evolved, we've changed, and we're on it. We're on this road to total success. Only to find in the late afternoon, as the sun warms your back, that shadow suddenly lands up in front of you. And I think that's the stage that we find ourselves in at the moment. We're all running behind and chasing change at this radical rate that things are evolving around us. It is insane what's going on, but we have that ability to catch up with it, to achieve it, and to keep pace with it. And, you know, it's a fundamental fact. Face it, you can't run from it. You've got to be innovative, creative, deal with it, and be part of it as we move on. And we've all sat and introspected and thought much about life, I think, over this past year, and re-looked at everything. And a lot of us have decided we're going to embark on new journeys. We're going to try new avenues. We're going to try new things. We're going to try things differently. And as you embark on this journey and you head out again with the sole purpose to look at life differently, there's one fundamental thing that I think that we all have to realize. And, you know, when I wrote the statement down, I had a little chuckle to myself because it's actually truth decay, not tooth decay, it's truth decay. Everywhere we look around us, there is this constant decay of the truth. Wherever we look, the examples globally, the examples in the US, wherever we go, there is this fundamental decay of honest truth, the real facts in life. And every one of us, as you embark on this new journey in your lives, please reset your moral compass. Be that honest example to everyone around you. We've got to basically reset our compasses. It's horrific what's going on around every single corner of our society back home and globally. We've got to be this example and reset our moral compass as individuals. Be the one for someone to look up to. You know, when you do this and we trundle on into life, whatever we do in life, it's about relationships. In all your dental practices, it's built on solid relationships between yourself, your staff, and your client base. I mean, when I adventure, it's a relationship. It's the relationship I have with myself as that athlete on the road. It's the relationship I have with the person that's adventuring or running with me. It's my relationship with the team that got me to where I am and that are supporting me. But most importantly, it's that relationship with the external factors around me, with Mother Nature. And the problem is, when you think you forged that perfect relationship, in comes something that was totally unpredictable. We never knew it was going to hit us. And in it comes, and it throws everything upside down. We've just faced that. But it's situations like this that one has to look at that as not something that's going to disrail everything that you've ever built in your life. We've got to look at it as an opportunity to draw strength from, to deal with it, and to come out better on the other side. It happens to me in an adventure. I can be hit by a snowstorm. I can be taken down a river. I can tear a muscle. These things happen. But it's your ability to stand up after a massive something is thrown at you that you have no control of. And it's in those situations, if we can draw strength from that, it's so, so important. And, you know, as we go through life and we trundle this road and we remain engaged in this process of change, I look at this photograph. I'll never forget in Cuba. Here is a country that stood up as individuals, as brothers and sisters, as families, and they fought for change. They fought for the change they wanted to see. But the problem was, it's not an event. You've got to remain entwined in that process as it unfolds. And what happened, they reached a certain stage and they stood back and they let someone else affect the change they wanted to see. It's not going to happen like that. That person will affect the change they want to see. You've got to fight for the change you want to see. Because if you don't, it's never going to happen. It's so important to remain engaged. And so often we get so close to that final goal. And I found myself sitting here in Cuba. I just crossed from a town called Moe towards the Bay of Pigs across the center of Cuba. And the temperatures came up to over 45 degrees and I got heat stroke. And I was sitting on this wreck of an old military vehicle. And I just wanted to give up. I absolutely had it. I had it. There's a classic saying, the closer you come to success, the bigger the temptation is to give up. And we've been through hell and back, and we're going to go through hell and back again. But we're close. We're close to getting out of all of this. We're close to reaching some success. Don't ever, ever give up, especially when you're so close to success. And whatever you do in life, it's often the closest you are to achievement is when you lose faith in yourself and you think, you know, it's been so difficult, so I can't carry on. That is where you stand up and you fight those last few steps. If any of you are athletes, you know, it's when you get to that top of the hill and you're just going to get over the crest, you want to walk those last 5 meters. Don't walk those last 5 meters. Make it to the top, conquer that hill and trundle down the other side and recover. In saying this and remaining engaged and fighting through everything, there's something that one needs within. You've got to have this key ingredient in life. And to me, that is attitude. Attitude is that inner mirror of everyone that reflects outwards. And I always say, if you wake up in the morning and you duck back with everyone around you, you're going to suck that right back. That's the feedback you're going to get. But if you are happy and engaging and positive, those are the people that you're going to meet. I'll never forget this paddle. Jean mentioned my trip from Africa to Madagascar, and I'm trundling across the Mozambican Channel, and I've been going for about 10 hours, and the sun was starting to set in the evening. And I look at my bearings in that. I've only managed 10 kilometers. through all that day of paddling. Something like 20,000 times my paddle goes into the water, and you just paddle and you paddle and you paddle. But I only made 10 kilometers. The whole day I was stuck in this current, slowly being drifting back and pulled back and back and back. But you know, in situations like this, no matter how mundane or difficult the day is that we find, if you get into that kayak with the right attitude and you deal with that day and you fight your way through it, you will get there. Imagine if I'd given up there, stopped paddling. I wouldn't be 10 kilometers back. I'd be 60 kilometers back. You know, it was 12 days of paddling. And finally, I hit the coast of Madagascar and started my run from the southern tip to the northern tip of that island. And along the way, I picked up bilharzia. I was given medication that was 3 years past the expiry date, and I got chemical poisoning from it. And lying there for 4 days, semi-comatose, with the villagers looking after me, I was then not taking my malaria pills, and I picked up dengue fever. This photograph here, I'd lost 22 kilograms in weight. And I remember trundling down the last 240 kilometers to the end of that island, villagers laughing at me, the way I was just this bag of bones rattling down this freeway. But I got to the end of that island. I got to Diego Suarez at the lighthouse there and sat there. I remember in an emotional heap of tears as I realized where I'd got. But the worst thing was, I still had to turn around from that lighthouse and run 140 Ks back to the town where the crew were waiting for me. But you know, it's times like that, with the correct attitude and mindset, honestly, you'll get there. You really will get there. A lot of us over the last few months have probably been given various bits of advice and routes to take and what roads to take. And none of us really know what the real answer is to the future and what it holds and how things are going to unfold and how our industries are going to unfold and what is the right decision, what is the right route. But a decision has to be made. And with that decision comes consequences. And whatever decision you make in life, you have to take responsibility for that. And I remember in China, I was on the edge of the Gobi Desert, and these villagers had said to me, look here, the best way to get to connect with a wall again is just head across this desert plain and you'll hook up with a wall. Unbeknown to me, I was sent straight into a military zone where there was a tank shooting range and they were doing live ammunition tank testing. And yeah, we were, Andrew and I, stuck between a rock and a hard place. I love this picture. We were sat there, trapped by the military. And the military had taken our phones and they were looking through our phones, trying to find out if we photographed anything illegal, what we were doing, where we were going, what were we doing in this area, how were we covering these large distances. And we lay there just lost from everything. We didn't know what they were saying. They kept us there for over 7 hours. And eventually they let us go. And we trundled off into the desert. I think they were just laughing at us and saying, yeah, they're probably going to not make it out the desert. Just let them go, harmless bunch. But, you know, these are the consequences we face in life from decisions that we do make. And it's times like this that I always say that we reach a crossroad in our lives. And every one of us someday, sometime in your life, is going to reach not one, but a couple of really, really difficult crossroads where you stand on the precipice of despair and not knowing where to turn or what to go. And I've faced it a couple of times myself, and I know I'm going to face it again. And I've always said, when you reach a spot like this in one's life, is just stop, draw that imaginary line in the sand and understand where you've got to in life. Just understand where you've got to. Understand what's happened to you in your life. And if you can understand and bring a bit of calmness to the situation, and then I think the most important step that brings positivity is then accepting it. I honestly feel that through understanding and acceptance, you can then step over this line and say, okay, this is what happened. This is what got to. I accept it. I've got to move on now. And I've actually got to make things happen. I've got to change my situation. I've got to change myself. I've got to deal with what lies ahead. And it's amazing when you can drop that rucksack of negativity and push on. And that's what this wall has done to me, not on one occasion, but on 2 occasions of my life. If you look at this massive structure, it stretches for over 4,000 kilometers from Jayaguan in the desert to Shanaiguan at the ocean. This ball just goes up and down over every mountain range. You know, on running that wall, we climbed 118,000 meters in altitude. That's 14 times 8, 14.8 times the height of Everest. Just running along that wall, scrambling, trundling, crawling up and down it. It's from the one end, the temperature is plus 45 degrees. On the other end of the wall, the temperature gets to minus 22 degrees. If you take every single brick on the man-made Ming wall and you pack it in a wall 5 feet high and 3 feet thick, it'll go right around the circumference of the earth. That is this incredible man-made structure. You know, where the wall ends in the Gobi Desert, this photograph ahead of me was the Black Mountain, and behind me was the Chilean Mountain. The Chilean Mountain rises up to 3,800 meters, and the Black Mountain rises up to just 1,800 meters. The top of the Chilean Mountain is minus 20. The Black Mountain radiates heat onto that desert floor, and the temperatures get up to over 45 degrees every day. And that lying there is the Great Wall. That mud structure runs 1,800 kilometers across the Gobi and Tangier Desert, ram-packed with mud and camels that brought in urns of water into the desert to build that structure, to keep the marauding Mongolian hordes out of the villages of China. But all along this desert plain, because of the inversion of temperatures with the hot and cold air coming down and rising up from these mountain ranges, during the early morning and late afternoon, these twisters develop. These little cyclones dance back and across the wall. I think on one day, I remember we counted up to 30 of these twisters spiraling and dancing across and left to right of the Great Wall. And there's a lovely ancient fable that the Chinese share, that they say that those spirits, those twisters are the spirits of ancient maidens whose loved ones were lost during building the Great Wall of China. And they say for every step you take on the Great Wall, one person has perished in the building of that wall. We took 4.2 million steps along that Great Wall of China. If we look at any foundation, anything in life is built on a fundamental foundation. The Great Wall is built on a foundation. Layer upon layer upon layer, that wall was built until they could finally start cementing these bricks to a structure 12 meters high, not with cement, but with glutinous rice porridge mixed with limestone. And that's how the wall was built. And it still stands together to this day. And our lives as well, as we trundle through our lives, the experiences, the life lessons, the things we hear, the things we see, we build the fundamental foundation of our lives on which we trundle and journey through life. And that's how we see life as it unfolds in front of it. And I love this analogy of looking at life. We all look through life through a lens. We look at life through 3 lenses. There's actually the current, the lens of now, today, that we're all looking at today. 65% of us, today's lens is influenced by the lens of the past. And some of us, not many of us, are influenced by the lens of the future. You know, if you look at today through the lens of the past, and the reason why so many of us do that, because it's a comfortable lens, because we can maybe predict the outcome. We might have experienced that journey and we know how it might turn out. It's an easier route. But what the lens of the past does, it constantly pulls you back. It constantly puts you in a negative space because you're always comparing things to how they were and how you think they were. And it was always, always looking back. It just builds a wall around you and you actually don't move forward. If every single one of us now could look at not what the world was like months ago, but how it could be, what we could shape, what we could rebuild, what we could innovate. We have to look at the now through the lens of the future. It unfortunately puts you into an uncomfortable space, a difficult space, because it's somewhere you haven't been before. But what it does, it forces us to work together, to put your hand out to someone else and say, help me through this, assist me, let's work together. You become innovative and creative to break into the bounds of the future and predict the future by building the future. It's so important. We have to look at the now through the lens of the future. If you look at this bit of the wall, and I actually found myself at one stage on this journey feeling exactly like that. That's the mud wall, not a great foundation, crumbling and falling apart. Bits of shadow, deep dark shadows. And a lot of our lives are like this. We've got fundamentals that we're not dealing with stuff. We're not coping. We've got cracks appearing. We've got dark spaces in our lives that we don't want to go into. We don't want to go there. It's too painful. It's too difficult. And so often along that wall, it took me into that space. If we look at society around us, we need to deal with these deep, dark spaces in our lives. We need to sort that out, because if we can sort that out, we can build a solid foundation on which we can build society and build our country. There are so many issues that we face. We've got to get the fundamentals right. And in our lives, as I said right in the beginning, that's through change, evolving, dealing with change, and seeing the rewards of it, that we can start building solid foundations. And most importantly is the fundamental, the rejigging of our moral compass to face true north. I remember when I did this run of the Great Wall, there was such a fanfare. And the start, there was this huge thing. Media was there, television cameras, everything was there, because here was this guy coming back to China 12 years later at the age of nearly 60 to run the wall again. And the media just wanted to see if it was possible, if I could do it. But the crazy thing was, this time the challenge was not a marathon a day, it was an ultra marathon a day. We had to cover 60 kilometers every single day. The first run, we started in the Gobi Desert. There was nowhere there. We just started on the Great White River and trundled into the desert, sort of under the shadow of the wall as we headed out. But the great thing about the first run was we had roughly 1,800 kilometers at high altitude to get fit. We ran for 2 months. And then we got into the third month. We got fitter and fitter, and we lost more weight. By the time we reached the mountains, we were flying, we were light, we were fit, and we were dealing with everything. This time around, to run the wall in the other direction, I had to start at the ocean. I had a 25-kilometer run, and I hit the foothills of the mountains around Beijing. But on start, temperature was 22 degrees. On the second day, in came a Siberian winter squall, a late one that we weren't expecting, and the temperature started to drop, and they dropped. The deeper we got into the mountains, the colder it became. Eventually the freeze set in, and the temperatures of minus 20 were back. And the higher you got, the colder it got. And with a wind chill, it was freezing. So the crew, what they thought was, this old guy is now way off the track of the wall. He's older. We don't think he's going to make it. So they started working out their own route. They weren't going to take me on the main spine of the wall. There was a secondary spine that would bring us closer to an extraction point if something went wrong. Because as it was on the original spine, it was a 30K hike for anyone to get to us. So the crew started making up their own route, but they hadn't gone out and investigated the wall. And the Great Wall of China is a crazy thing. It was built to trick, to trap, and to kill people. So instead of getting maps, our dear friends gave us hand-drawn little things. They said, look here, go here, take a compass bearing, then it's 38 Ks, then go here, then you go there. They would put the names in English and they write it in Chinese. So if we came to a village, we could, you know, sort of look at the letters and work out where we were. All they did was lead us into the classic Great Wall trap. And then, and what happens here is the Great Wall of China, they would build turrets on the edge of a 300-meter cliff. Because any idiot coming up there, you couldn't go any further. You'd fall off the edge. So you'd spend a whole day following this false piece of wall, get trapped there, and you have to reverse your step all the way back. But on top of that, they built a low-grade wall that was crumbly. So you'd get trapped up there, and it's easy to go up, come down on a bad structure. That's another story. On the right-hand side of this picture, while we were retreating, there was a group of Chinese locals hiking. The one woman and a friend was stuck there. Another woman was stuck there. And the guy in the group fell. And he ended up there. I want to show you a quick video clip. It's about 3 seconds. Have a look at the third little ring at the bottom of this video clip. I hope it comes out. They had slipped and they were trapped on the wall. They had to send the military in to get them out. And unfortunately, the guy had passed away. But that's what we were facing every single day. But on top of that, we'd reached the edge of the rough mountain area, and we were heading into the Gobi Plains, coming out of -20 and suddenly into the 30 degrees. We started to get heat stroke, but worse than that, because of the time we'd lost in the mountains, we were starting to have to pick up pace, pushing some days to 70 Ks. And Andrew developed really bad tendonitis in his shin, so bad that his ankle actually seized up. So we decided we're going to call the run to a halt, we're going to rest, and we're going to get him checked out. The crew picked him up and they took him off to a doctor. You're not going to believe this. That afternoon, Andrew arrives back, his foot in a moon boot on crutches. Months of training, years of planning, our dream lay in tatters. We didn't know what to do. We sat up for 3 days contemplating this. It was amazing. Eventually, Andrew, he said to me, he said, David, this journey is not about us. It's not about you and me. It's about the people that put faith in us, that trusted in us, that believed that we could go out and do this. There is no ways that we can give up on this. We have to continue. I remember Andy trundling out there, basically hobbling for days on end, slowly then getting up to walk, slowly then getting to jog, and finally healed enough on the road that we could get to the end of that wall. You know, in times like this, we often talk about the power of the mind and how our mind works in that. The mind's an incredible thing. Never, ever doubt your mental strength. I firmly believe that if you want it bad enough and you dig deep enough, most things are possible. They really are. But it's up to you as an individual. You've got to want it bad enough and you've got to dig deep enough. And you'll find that you can get there. I don't say everything's possible. I really don't. But don't doubt the mental ability that you have. On those days when you're standing there so close to success and you want to give up, dig a little deeper, dig a little deeper. I had situations myself. I remember my run of India coming down from Kashmir, just below the Afghanistan border. We'd run a couple of thousand Ks and I suddenly started urinating blood. And I thought I had bilharzia again. So I got hold of the guys back home and they said, no ways. There's something else wrong. And I ended up in hospital, in theater, and I'd ruptured my bladder. And they'd sorted me out and on I went. And I ruptured it again. And it happened a third time. And I just wanted to give up. But worse than that was what I saw around me. absolute demise of humanity, trundling through India, seeing the worst that life can dish up, and just wondering, is there ever going to be an end to this? And I think a lot of us have in our business lives over the last couple of months, in personal lives and that, you wonder, is there ever going to be an end to this? What lies out there? What chances are there? What opportunities are there? I remember meeting up with this old guy. He was a Hindi priest doing a yatra. They called him a journey of great significance. He'd been on the road for 18 months, and I showed him that exact picture that I've just showed you. And I said to him, how do you deal with this? How do you cope? And he looked up at me, and I remember that little smile he had on his face. And he said to me, my friend, remember one thing. You have no control over the external things in your life. Just draw back, escape from it for a while, find peace within yourself, and then go out and deal with that in life and draw strength from it. I looked at this guy, and I remember he then looked up at me again, and he put his arm on my shoulder, and he said, my friend, I can see you suffering. That was the last thing I needed to hear. I sat down on that rock on the left of him next to that bicycle, and I sat there with tears streaming down my face, and he said to me, remember one thing, if you have reason for why you are suffering, it's no longer suffering. If you have reason why you are suffering, it's no longer suffering. Every single one of us have reason for the hardships we're going through. It's not hardship. We'll get out there. We'll find a solution. We'll get to the end of this. And what I love as well about the madness on the road, just another look through the wall of China, is the crazy old butcher on the way to the market. And then you get a bit of bird flu in the area. And the only way to escape that is load up your chickens and ducks and head out of the area with everything you got on your bicycle. And I love the rear view mirror. It's one of my favorites. You know, rear view mirror, you look into it and you see where you're going. Imagine a mirror. You look into it and you don't know if you're coming or going, eh? Much like life at the moment. Tomorrow and the day after, we're all going to trundle the road. We're going to practice, prepare, plan, decide how we're going to face life with a close friend, a partner, and we're going to deal with the hardships. I do it every day, getting ready for my journeys. But the weirdest thing is, when that day comes and I land in a foreign country and I get out of my tent on that first morning and I put on those old, well-trodden running shoes and I stand up and I hit that road, the first thing that happens, that guy next to you, that partner, that friend is there no more. It's up to you when you wake up tomorrow morning and you put on your shoes. You and only you can deal with that road that lies ahead. The biggest influence that you're going to meet along that road, the biggest influence is not the person next to you. That person. The person that you meet along the way. Choose wisely, choose carefully. That person will make or break you. Choose wisely, choose carefully. Especially now. There's no quick fix for anything. Be cautious. So at the end of a journey, at the end of a year, there's time to celebrate, to reward yourself, to think back, to reflect. And at the end of a run, that was the last run in China, just celebrating. But what do you actually achieve in that moment? Nothing. Everything that you've achieved is now in these deep, dark, difficult times where you're going to change your mindset, become innovative, become creative, and find a way out of these holes. Fight your way up that slope and get to the top so you can celebrate, only to find yourself heading down the hill on the other side so that it can repeat itself once again. It's now that we are learning everything. It's now that we're trying everything. This is where we find our success, down here in these difficult times. You know, if I look back and at two things that comes out of these journeys, and the one was, before I left, my dad said to me, he's nearly 90 now, and I was terrified that I might fail on this journey. And he said to me, it was a simple little thing. He says, David, rather go out there and regret trying and not making it than having to sit at home every day and regret that you never tried. So every one of us sitting here, no matter how difficult or how arduous or how massive the mountain is in front of you, go out there, try something, do something. If you fail, you'll stand up, you'll try again, and you'll regret it, but the regret will be small. But if you sit here now and you do nothing and you just let time pass, you will regret that for the rest of your life. Do something. And 2 little pillars. And the one was just be honest with yourself. Be ruthlessly honest with yourself. Because if you bullshit yourself, imagine what you're going to tell the people around you. And the other thing is appreciate. You know, we just want, and we just, we live in this life of expectation. Sit back and appreciate what you have. Appreciate what you've achieved. It's so important, because in doing so, you will see the rewards that change will bring you as an individual. Because I can't change any of you. Change will be that conscious decision. You wake up one morning and from within you'll realize, you know what? I've got to do something about myself. I've got to do something about myself. And I've ended off with this before, and I might have done it at the one conference where I shared with all you guys about this lady in India. She was a 7th caste, and I went up to her and I wanted to give her something, and I was pulled back, and the crowd around said, no, just leave it. And so on it went, and eventually she beckoned to me. She said, please come forward, give me your hand. And I remember leaning over and passing her my hand. And this just sticks with me so much, and it's been so influential, these few words in my life that she said to me. And she said, clawing my hand and pulling it to her chest, and those icy green eyes and the tears down her cheeks, and saying, all I want in life is just to be loved, respected, and accepted for who I am. Love me, respect me, and accept me for who I am. Isn't that what we all want in life? And so many of these steps, when I can't take another step, I think of the reasons why I do this. And this is one of the reasons. Love me, respect me, and accept me for who I am. It's those little children that drive me. And you know what I love afterwards is that mirror. When a child's had surgery and they look into that mirror and they see what change has done to their lives. So a little challenge. Sometime over this seasonal break at the end of the year, the festive season, when you're sitting in a little space, pick up the mirror of your life and think to yourself, isn't there some little way that I can change? Just reflect and think to yourself, isn't there some way I can change? But remember, you have to realize you need to change. You have to see the rewards that change is going to bring you. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. You know what the crazy thing is? You can't change yourself. It's the people around you that will change you. And when you trundle off that dream that's driving you, that dream that's pursuing you, please remember, never, ever give up on that dream. It's your fuel. It's your catalyst for survival. It's your catalyst for success. It's everything out there in life. And in my opinion, the biggest single gauge of success is simple. It's a measure of your ability to change. That'll be the key to your success. I'd like to thank SADA and GSK for giving me the privilege of sharing some of my insights, my learnings, and my journeys with you all. It's been a fantastic opportunity. And if there is anyone out there that has any questions or wants to ask me something, please feel free. I think John will help with that. But thank you so much. It was a privilege and a pleasure being here. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Dave. Let me just sort my screen out here. Doesn't look like my screen's going to work.
We can see you though, it's fine.
I'm right here. Let me put myself back up. There we go. Okay, I'll be Mr. Green Screen for a while. Thank you, Dave. As always, that's very inspirational. Please, guys, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to type in the Q&A section at the bottom. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to ask Dave a few questions that I have myself, which we haven't.
I see there's one from Lawrence there. He asked me, you know, how do I cope with being away from home so often? And you know, Lawrence, the crazy thing was when I was a chef for 35 years, I was only home on Sunday afternoon and my Monday off. Every morning I was sleeping in when the kids went to school. Every evening I was working when they came back. And I only saw them sparsely on a Sunday afternoon. With this adventuring, every 2 years I might wander off for a couple of months, but the rest of the time I'm at home, and it's amazing time at home. And I've got the coolest bedtime stories for the kids from all these journeys. But I spend a lot more time at home now, although I might be gone away for a longer block. But there's more quality time at home, yeah.
Great. Then we had a question here from Costa. How long did it take you to complete the wall? You can basically go through, I think, the first and the second one.
Yeah, the first one was 93 days. We averaged 42 Ks a day. And the second one was 80 days, and we averaged 61 Ks a day. It was amazing how over the years we developed a system to run. So we run for 25 minutes and we walk for 5 minutes. And we find by just that break, the slowing down and the walking, you give the muscles time to regenerate. They don't stiffen up, and you rehydrate all the time. And our biggest push on that system was when I ran across Ireland. We did, I think it was 800 Ks in 6.5 days. We averaged over 80 Ks a day, every single day when we ran Ireland in that record pace. But that was using that system. It works so well. If you just, you know, most athletes think if you stop, oh, you're a failure because now you're walking. But I can promise you that break, at the end of the day, you actually move as quick, but you can carry on the next day. You don't get hammered.
No, it's all about pacing yourself but keeping focus on.
It's body management. That's what these long journeys are about.
There's just a thank you here from Anonymous for such an inspirational talk. How uplifting it was, and definitely something that they need to use in these trying times. Thank you. Dave, I wanted to ask you a question. That is, of all the journeys, what would you say was probably the toughest moment of all of those?
You know, I think my hardest moment was probably in Madagascar. It was, I've never been so sick in my life. I've never been so alone, so despondent. I remember the interview that I did with myself at the end at the lighthouse. I'd take my camera to a tree there. And I actually, it was weird. I watched it now a couple of months ago, that I just sat there in tears on my own, convincing myself that you've done it now. You're at the end. There's no one to share it with. I was 22 Ks down in weight. I had malaria, bilharzia. I was a wreck. You know, overcoming that mentally probably gave me the strength for so many other things that I've done. But hell, that physically was the hardest thing, and mentally was the demise of humanity in India that I found very difficult to deal with. But such an incredible, I mean, India is about the people. It's not about anything else. It's about the people. They are so amazing, but they live in such appalling conditions. And they still wake up every morning and they see a positive side to life, no matter what has been thrown at them the day before. They wake up in the morning and they've got a zest and a will to see that day end again. And that to me was incredible to see.
Yeah. What is the funniest thing you've ever done on all these events?
Yeah, there's, you know, it's
We're not in the mountain now, so you must behave yourself.
You know, it was crazy. I'm spontaneous. I'm half fried myself. But I think the biggest laughs I ever got was, it was Andrew's 50th birthday now on the Great Wall Run. Okay. And I don't know why I did or what. So it was drizzling and we had this big bonfire and I crawled up the wall and I did a streak across the wall singing happy birthday to Andy in the distance. Guys, they nearly died. They couldn't believe what happened. I mean, for weeks afterwards, whenever the Chinese looked at me, and then it went out into the media, but they love that type of sense of humor. And this was the funniest thing out. But yeah, that was a funny one. That was off the wall.
I can just imagine you doing that. Well done. Just a couple of questions coming from some of the attendees. The one thing is, what is your diet primarily when you're doing these events? What do you try and stick with?
There are two variations. I was very involved in the Banting lifestyle with Prof. Noakes. I did a lot of recipes in that book. And the important thing to know, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. A diet is a grudge purchase. If you want a diet, it's never going to work. It's a change of lifestyle. It's a change of attitude to what you eat. And low carb, high fat diets don't work for everyone, and vice versa, it doesn't work. So you've got to find what works for you. And I did a lot of that using Banting in that, and I found I had a lot more endurance strength and got a lot stronger and had better control over weight spikes in off training and that. But on an event, you cannot choose what you want to eat. You actually scrounge. You have days where you get nothing. You have days where you just have rice. You have days where you have no choice over what you get. So your weight loss is massive. I think on average you're losing, I think in 80 days I lost 18 kilos. So you're losing grams every single day because you're burning something like 6,000 kilocalories, and if you're really eating well, you can maybe load 2,000 kilocalories or something like that. I can't remember the exact science of that, but there's always a deficit. So what happens in the end is you start eating your muscle mass. And I lost probably 40% of my muscle mass because of that. The skin just hangs on you everywhere. But a diet is so difficult, but it's so important to try and get nutritional stuff in, but it's difficult.
I think it's quite important just to note that you guys don't leave town with a backpack full of energy bars and everything else, little packets of things that you're going to have your set diet for the whole week. It's literally what you can find in town, what's around, and what's available to you in that specific environment. So you just need to make do with what you have. Yeah.
In China, they have these boiled eggs that are retort cooked in plastic bags, and that you can put it in the sun for 6 months and nothing happens to it. So you come to a village, you buy a lot of those, and that's what you could live on for the next 2-3 days. So it's whatever you can find.
Just to reflect a little bit on the novice runners, any advice you'd give them for injury prevention?
Prevention is all around training, and what I feel, if you're a novice runner and you're starting to run, don't always run on the road. Change the terrain that you run on, because then your legs are moving in different directions. You're strengthening tendons, you're getting different muscle movement, you're perfecting balance, you're working more on your core. So don't stick to the same thing. And the other thing is, don't always chase pace. Slow down and do long, the long, slow distance runs are really good. And, have a few days where you do speed training, but it's changing your terrain and changing your pace, but as well, don't go too far too quickly. It's a journey. Whatever you do is a journey. And it's when you get people wake up and say, I'm going to do the comrades this year. And in 3 months they train for the comrades and they're going to do it. They're going to damage themselves mentally and physically for life after that. You need to work your way into it. It's like anything you do. It's got to be done properly. But weight is also important for injury. The lighter you are, the less chance you have of hammering your knees and your hips.
Then there was a question about whether you've done any of these events with your life partner. And then secondly, I want to add on to that, how important is it to have that partner with you? I know you and Andy are very close. That connection and that person next to you that's kind of there with you on this journey, how important is that?
You know, I've done 3 events on my own, and solo events are incredibly difficult because when things go bad and things go wrong, there's no one to reach up for and get a hand out. It's the decision you make there is do or die, and it's and you've got to make a decision, and you've got to live by that decision. And I've had horrific incidences. So from that aspect, it's also it puts more of a challenge to it, but I much prefer sharing an adventure with someone, standing at the end with someone. After an event, it's not something that's internalized. It's something I can share with him, and we can discuss it. We can, you know, it's amazing to relive that. But when it's on your own, you sort of, it's trapped within. The only way I get it out is, you know, maybe sharing through talks or my books and that. But the other thing, doing an event with someone, we have serious physical fights where we knock the hell out of each other. We had a fight now in China in the Gobi Desert that we were rolling down the wall, beating each other up. But it was a petty argument about that way or that way. But 3 minutes later, you sit up there and think, hey, what's your problem? Why have I got the shiner? What did I do? And you laugh it off. And it builds a robust, amazing friendship that well, Jean, you know, Andy and I.
I'm only laughing because I've actually seen it, so it's good fun to see. But it's amazing because even in the adventures, I mean, you always draw the parallel between life and what you're kind of doing, and it's exactly the same in life. And it's so much more pleasant, so much better if you're actually sharing it with somebody there to pick you up and take you along with you if you're feeling down. But also just when you get to the finish, that it's actually somebody you can share the emotional with. Whether you're fighting every now and then, because that's going to happen, but in the end of the day, you have more laughs together, you have more fun together, and you actually start punching each other. So that's very, very important. Then there was a question here. What was the scariest moment for you? I know we talk quite a lot about the wall, but if you were maybe look at the wall, but also look at any other of the adventures, what was the scariest moment where you felt physically in danger?
So there's 2. The one was being caught in a dust storm in the Gobi Desert with kilometers, 140 an hour winds and this fine powdery dust in your throat, choking you that you can't breathe, that you stick your finger down your throat to vomit and bring this gunge up so you can carry on breathing. I mean, that was horrific. In Madagascar, I got caught in a cyclone and in the night and washed down a river. And luckily my rucksack got entangled in some tree. That was another horrific one that I went through.
You were on your own in Madagascar, huh?
Yes, yeah. That was lousy, and as well in Madagascar, coming down this one massive ravine, coming downhill, I slid and a vine caught me around my neck. I've still got a big knob at the back of my neck that I nearly hung myself on this vine. It was just an absolute freak accident that happened there. And then it's believe it or not, being hit by bicycles. I've been run over so badly running down like a mountain pass in India or somewhere, and a guy comes around the corner and takes you out on a bicycle, but just it's a bicycle laden with wood and chickens and stuff, and the guy can't see where he's going, and you head down and coming up, and suddenly the 2 of you collide. So I've had 3 bad bicycle accidents that I've been hit by bicycles and well damaged. So
that just confirms to me that cyclists and runners aren't really the same. You just keep them apart in different paths in the mountain. That would be the safest way to do it. Dave, somebody asked you the photograph that you showed of the long view. If you can tell us where that is, then I want to just tag onto that question, ask you what for you was the most beautiful place on the wall?
So with the photograph behind me,
Yeah.
is that the one?
Go for that.
So that is a piece of the wall that goes from Badeling to Semotai and Gqeberha. It's the last third, or the last quarter of the wall. And it's a bit of wall that has been refurbished. So that was taken when the snow came down and that. It's you as a tourist, you can get to that section. It's absolutely beautiful, and it just cascades. It's like someone's thrown a ribbon. It's just unraveled down the wall. I think that of the most beautiful pictures that I've seen on the wall are always sunrise in the morning. At the place I mentioned, Semotai, I remember there was a full moon and the sun had come up, and the whole wall looked like it had been plated with gold. It was just spectacular. And you're sitting there and you're just looking at this and you're gobsmacked in just this monumental structure that humanity has created. And then in the Gobi Desert as well, also at a sunrise, to see that mud wall that's packed 12 meters high and it's 6 meters thick at the base. And it's just careering across these desert plains into nowhere. It's the vista and the depth of that view is just spectacular, especially on a clear day. Just it's unreal to see that. Oh.
Just to bring that, just to kind of start wrapping up, to bring that back home and to make it a bit more realistic, what for you is the most spectacular place, or the place that means the most to you within South Africa?
You know, having the privilege of running the coastline of South Africa, the coastline has sort of 5 distinct feels to it, and that whole coastline. You know, this country has got so many beautiful vistas and sceneries, and I couldn't say one, but you know, if I look at Table Mountain and when you're running down the coast, the run that I did from Namibia when we raced the horses back to Cape Town, and you're coming past a place called Bokpunt, and Table Mountain climbs out of the ocean in this 3. It's weird when the light is correct, and in June, July, and winter, when it's so clear there, it actually looks like the mountain is just climbing out the ocean. It's a 3-dimensional picture. It is the most beautiful thing that you'll ever see. That stands out to me. That's something that you can't compare. And then on the West Coast, when you get those round boulders, the landscape, this desolate landscape of the West Coast ends. And then it looks like someone's dropped these massive, big, round balls in the ocean. It's also a landscape that is mind-boggling when you see those rocks and the desolate West Coast. It's beautiful, it really is.
So for any intrepid adventurer out there, you don't necessarily have to go all the way to China in the middle of coronavirus, but you can actually start exploring the country around us, seeing what's out there, and go and enjoy that. You know, and I think during the past 6-9 months, there's been such an increase in the amount of people enjoying nature and enjoying the mountain, enjoying the beaches, that it's a privilege for us to live in this incredible place and to be able to have that on our doorstep to just enjoy it whenever we want to. I want to ask you, because this question's always popping up, so I'm going to ask twofold. One is, what is the next journey? And no, it is not doing Survivor South Africa. If anybody was wondering, although maybe that's not a bad idea.
No, Survivor, everything that I believe in, it goes to the opposite. It's so deceitful and conniving. I couldn't. Sorry. I can't.
I reckon that might have been the answer. But seriously, the next kind of thing that might be on your horizon, firstly, and then secondly, how anybody can get involved. You do all of your adventures. You always do for a good cause. You always do it for the people around you and to serve the community and society out there. So how is it that people can get involved in what you do?
So I was actually meant to start running on the 15th up the Namibian coast, but something happened. And yeah, that's life, eh? I was going to give you this talk somewhere up the coast. I was going to dial in, but yeah, I'm sitting at home, and yeah. So my next run is going to be one from the top of Table Mountain to Namibia, to the Namibian border. It's a journey that we want to put cameras on Table Mountain as athletes and people that love Table Mountain, and I want to share this journey with all the runners out there to join up with us. That we can put high resolution cameras all around Table Mountain, so that tourists and fellow Cape Townians and visitors from up north, when you run the mountain or hike on it, we're safe there. Jean and I had an incident, and it's just giving back to the city and to the country, just to keep it as a beautiful icon that we so cherish. So the next run is about that, but of course with it will also be the little kids that need surgery. So it'll have two options to it that people can get involved. You know, to get involved, it's, to me, there's a financial involvement that you can donate towards surgery, but there's also sharing to me positive stories about this country, and what people in this country do from a positive perspective, and we need to continue that journey as well. And you know, the more we're out there and the more we share stuff, we need to change our mindset, and we need to be positive about the things around us, because positivity is going to breed the future. And so whatever we do, or I do, or other adventurers do, or people do in their daily lives, share the positive side of stuff. You know, unfortunately, we live in a world of a screenshot at the moment, and we have this single snapshot, screenshot of what's going on around us, and it's not the true picture. We need to look beyond the screen, and we need to see the real stories going out there. And the problem is, the more we look at the screen, the more the stuff's directed at you, what you look at. So we need to get out there, and you need to be yourself, and you need to put in your shoes, and you need to see what's going on around you, and actually cherish the positivity that's out there, and the sunlight out there, and whatever you can find that makes you feel good in that day. That's what I want everyone to do. Just go out there, be positive, feel good, make a difference, and thanks for my opportunity to share with you guys. And Jean,
thank you very much, David. It was as always incredible. Thank you for sharing your journey and being so open and honest with us. I'm going to try and wrap it up here. Marlies, if there is anything you would like to say in addition, that's great. Otherwise, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank SADA and, of course, GSK for making this event possible, for the time and the effort that they've put into it. As you're aware, you can find your SADA CPD points on the website by logging in. This event is one credited CPD point. Please look out for any future events that are coming up. Notably on the 19th of November, YDC Practice Management Evening with Dr. Tembeka Buleni. And on the 27th, the YDC Evening for the final year students, first to third and the first to third year qualified, with PPS End Protection and myself. Thank you very much, Dave. Thank you, everybody, for logging in. And with that, I'd like to say good evening. Thanks, Dave.
At GSK Consumer Healthcare, one of our core values is to put our healthcare partners and their patients first. Since the start of COVID-19, we have been working around the clock to ensure that you As our trusted healthcare partner and your patients remain our #1 priority. GSK has created a Dentistry Mini Atlas app that enables you to view chapters, select articles, edit images, save images, or print for use as a poster or patient information leaflets. It's a dentistry compilation of resources at your fingertips. Some of the modules included are anatomy, physiology, pathologies, and our GSK product information. The Dentistry Mini Atlas app is available to download from the Google Play Store and Apple App Store, and through the Sensodyne website. After downloading, look out for a prompt requiring a username and a password. The username is GSK and the password Sensodyne. For access to the desktop version, please visit sensodyne.co.za. Click on Dentistry Mini Atlas at the top right of the page and use the same username and password. If you need any detailed information, assistance with download, or a user demonstration, please reach out to your GSK dental representative to assist you. At GSK Consumer Healthcare, one of our core values is to...
Thank you, Mr. Grier. Dr. van Lierop, we'll end the session now.